Hi, guys. Welcome to Living Abroad, the podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Nikitta Angus. Thank you so much for doing this. Like I was just saying to you like a minute ago, like sometimes I know like because you've got two little ones, you could be doing a lot of other things besides doing this. So I appreciate you coming through and making the time.
Oh no, no problem. I mean, you can tell I am just out the shower, so it's wet hair, no makeup, but that's just mum life now. We
Yeah.
got to just do what we can.
Thank you so much. And like I was saying to you, like sometimes people don't understand the power of saying yes to people and like helping out, because
Yeah.
this helps me more than it helps you. You know what I mean? Because
Oh, does it?
we're on like episode 11. So you coming through, it really means a lot.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you having me and asking me. So
Yeah.
no.
So like I've been sending like a lot of like requests, like like asking people to come through. So maybe if you can give me advice, like what made you say yes to this? So maybe I can tweak my message a little bit.
I wouldn't really say there's any advice. I think you were just yourself.
Hmm.
You then got straight to the point, but you were still polite, and
Yeah.
you sort of sent a link as to what examples. You kept it very brief,
Hmm.
which is good, because when you see big paragraphs, sometimes it can just be like, oh, I'll read it later, and you can forget. You got to the point, you introduced yourself, you told me what your podcast was all about, and then you sent
Yeah.
the link to your examples. And that was kind of what made me go, okay. So you kept it short, and you're a likable person, so
Thank you.
and it comes across on the interviews, so
Yeah.
that was kind of what got me to say yeah.
Yeah. And for people who don't know you, Nikitta was on season 3 of the X Factor, and you went through like to the live shows. I mean,
Yeah,
how was that?
it's so mad because when people talk about it, I almost like forget, because it's actually been really so long ago. It was 2006. We're now
Yeah.
2022, so I actually forget sometimes. But then when I'm given the opportunity, obviously, to speak about it, I then go, oh yeah, like that's what happened. But it was great. Like it was a great opportunity, opened many doors, and even obviously how many years on, people still ask me about it. Here we are. So it's obviously left an imprint years on. So it's so good.
Yeah. So if you say like like you almost forget because it was so long ago. I mean, if something like that happens to me, I'll never forget. So there must have been some really cool things that happened in your life after that, besides motherhood.
Um, it's not that I forget, like, oh yeah, it's like you don't think too much about it, because life just gets ahead of you, and
Yeah.
you get, I mean, it's obviously known, it's there, it's in my file of my brain, but obviously when you mention it like this, I then sit and go, oh yeah, and really think that's what I mean. But obviously I don't completely forget about it. It's just life just carries on, doesn't it? Years go
Yeah.
by, days go by, hours go by. So yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you were born in Glasgow.
No,
Okay. Where were you born?
I was born in Manchester,
Oh, okay.
and my mum was Scottish. She was born in Glasgow, and then she wanted to move back up when I was about 10, age 10.
Okay.
So I moved to Glasgow when I was 10 years old, and I was there obviously through my early teens and stuff like that. So I was probably there living in Glasgow like a very pivotal moment, obviously, in
Yeah.
my life. Because your teenage years are when you're sort of, you know, understanding life skills and things like that. So yeah, I wasn't born there, but obviously I've got a lot of growing up memories there.
Also, you were born in like in Manchester. So Manchester is more like multiracial than Glasgow at that time. So how was the move then?
To be honest, it like obviously when I was born in Manchester, you see all walks of life, like growing up. And then when I did move to Glasgow, I didn't really think too much about, because I was 10. I didn't, there's not many people like me. But then as I was getting a little bit older and then I went to school, I realized there was like probably me, myself, and maybe me, myself, as if there's two of us. Oh my God, myself and like a couple of other people that were of ethnic minority. And I was thinking like, okay, this is a little different. But I guess wasn't like, oh, this is a big deal, this is strange. It wasn't anything like that. I had one incident when I was about 11 where I got racially assaulted and I just couldn't understand. Like I remember feeling like really hurt but not understanding like what they meant. And I went home and I said to my mum, and I just remember my mum's face was just like, oh, as if like, here we go, like this is the start. Like she's never experienced this before, but now she's coming to me with this, you know, this. But she sort of, I can't really remember exactly what she said, but it was basically just sort of ignore it and don't pay attention to it. They're just jealous. You're different. People don't know how to understand different, so they're ignorant to it, so they'll be, you know, rude about it because they don't understand things that's different to them.
Wow. Like what was was like words like said called you?
I think it was like, you black bee, basically. And I was just like, what? It was like kids shouting from like over the fence, like over the wall. There was like flats, but you could see the kids on the landing of the flat, and I was like in over the other side, and can't even remember how it even happened. Like I don't know if they just shouted it or they were shouting things and then shouted it over, and I was just like, what? I didn't understand.
So, but your mom was never really like talking to you about it, like to warn you, okay, something like this might happen, or it was never like a conversation?
I think my mom never felt like she had to have that conversation in even in that day and age. Obviously, racism was still a big part of cities for years, but I think she probably felt like, because I grew up here, I never experienced that here. She lived here for many, many years before we moved back. She probably didn't think it would still, that would be going on in Glasgow. Like
at that
come
time.
on, I'm sure people have probably grown up, and then to hear me then come in and say that, she's probably thought, oh, here we go. So obviously there is still, you know, racism around.
Yeah, and my boys are, you know, like a mixed race, because my ex-partner is white Scottish and obviously I'm South African. And I mean, he's 9 and the young one is 7. Can you imagine that he has experienced it? Even like
have they experienced it?
Yes. Like
even now,
like an 8-year-old coming back home and saying to you, oh, this boy told me that white people are superior to black people because we've colonized you guys for so many, many years. Therefore, we are more smarter and more clever than you. You know, and for me, I think being a black woman, because I know I've experienced racism, I think I have warned him. I had these conversations with him that something like this might happen because you look like this, you know, but it still happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it's just a bit sad that it still does happen. And I think obviously with the Black Lives Matter movement that happened a couple of years ago, instead of it being a positive, I feel like it has in some cases been a negative for people to sort of be so blatant with their racism.
Yeah.
And I know some people would say, well, I'd rather someone be racist to my face than, you know, but I'm just like, there shouldn't be racism at all.
Yeah,
like,
like, you shouldn't even do it.
You know, like, so I feel like since that, it's kind of brought it a bit more to the surface and people feel a bit more entitled to say stuff. But I mean, it's just one of them. I think it's just educating our children and just letting them know. I mean, I've not really had to have that conversation with my son. He's going to be 6 next month, and he's got 2 books that my friend bought for him. It's a Martin Luther King book and Muhammad Ali. But obviously the Martin Luther King one, it speaks about how he grew up. Okay. But these are kids' books, but they've made it so that kids can understand it. It's really good. I'll try. I'll show you it before I leave. And it talks about how he was younger and he had a white friend, and the mum wouldn't let him in the house. And the way they've worded it in the book, it's really, really good. Like without it sounding like they're white and you're black and there's a separation. Does that make sense? They've worded it like there was segregation in those times. Like, do you get what I mean?
Yes.
It's a really good book. So he's kind of like understanding a little bit that, okay, there is a difference, but it shouldn't be.
You can be better.
A big deal. Like it's, you know, we all bleed red. So.
Well, so you say like Glasgow was, well, it's still worse. Manchester is more multiracial and it's more accepting.
Yeah, 100%. Like there's all walks of life here. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there is racism around if you maybe go to certain areas, but I think because it is so multicultural down here, I think if anyone was to be racist, it would be really, really nipped in the bud, you know.
Up to auditioning to the Xfactor, like what made you decide to audition?
To do it?
Yes.
It was my aunties that sort of prompted, because before my mum passed away, she was like a really big supporter of my music, so she was like all for it, like, yeah, go and audition. She used to travel with me, like while I used to do little gigs and stuff around Scotland, and it was really cool. And she was like pushing me to go and do the Xfactor, but I ended up getting knocked down by a car, so it just wasn't meant to be. And
wait, like before you auditioned in that year, or before that you auditioned in 2006?
I auditioned 2005.
Okay.
And I got hit with a car. I landed on my auntie's car.
No, on your way to the auditions.
Yeah, and then my mum and my auntie were in the car waiting. I got hit by a car, landed on my auntie's car and rolled down the front of the windscreen. And my mum was like, what, screaming. Yeah, it was really bad. I broke my arm and everything. So I obviously didn't do the audition. And then that year my mum passed away. And then the year after, my aunties were like, you should do it again. Like, you know, because your mum wanted you to do it last year. And then that's kind of how it just happened. But I was kind of happy performing around Scotland with friends like Levis and stuff at the time. And then when my aunties mentioned it, I thought, right, I'll give it a try. But I really didn't expect anything from it.
But you already knew like you could sing. I mean, if you were performing with Levis and all of you guys had a group. Like
but I mean, I had confidence with the young. What's the word? I had confidence in regards to like my age group, like performing with my age group and performing to my age group. When you audition for the lights for that show, you are performing to an audience of adults, like older people. So it's very different. And I felt like quite overwhelmed when I knew I was going to audition, because it's not like I was just performing in a community centre in front of young kids or anything. I was performing to 3 professionals that were in the industry, and it was a different ball game then. So it's different.
Yeah. So what's the audition process like?
So you go through producers first. So you see producers.
Okay.
And if they decide that you're good, you then get through to then see the judges. So then, yeah, that was that. I then did the audition. I went to then boot camp, and there's so many people at boot camp. When I was at boot camp, I thought, right, well, there's so many people, and then you're walking through like the halls and the toilets, and you're just hearing people practicing. Like, and you're just, I was just like, well, it was good while it lasted. That was like what my head was thinking, because there were so many people that were so good. Like, I was like, well, this was good. I'm clearly going home because they're amazing. She's amazing. And then, obviously.
And you auditioned like with your aunt. So you were in the group 16 to 24, and your auntie was on the over 25.
Yeah, she auditioned for the over 25s, yeah.
So you obviously got your singing part from your mom's side, not your dad's side.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so where is your dad from?
My dad's Jamaican.
Oh, okay. So you obviously got this singing part from this, and your swag from Jamaica. Yeah.
Well, when I look at my audition tape, there is no swag in what I'm wearing. I can tell you that right now. I think literally, like, when I look at my audition, I think I was wearing white combat trousers that had, like, I remember they had a stain on them because, like, you know, back then you can't really clean your clothes. I didn't know about Vanish then. And I had like this shirt that I just tied, and I thought it was really cool. Like, now, and flip-flops, like, if you were to try and wear that now, everyone would be like, "Hun."
So you think these girls, the young ones, not like now, they are more like, how can I put it, aware. So they put so much effort in their looks and their practice, like for the audition and things like that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, well, this is it. Back then, you need to remember there was no Instagram. There was not even any Facebook then. And Facebook came out, I think, 2007. So there wasn't even any Facebook. There was only Bebo and MySpace at the time. But they were not really the way social platforms are now. Do you get what I mean? It's not really about your appearance or how you look or anything like that. It was MySpace was your music, and Bebo was, if you want to put up a posing picture with your friends, but not too deep. So I think then it was more laid back. Like, like if you notice, I didn't really have, like, I don't even think I had any makeup on at my audition. My hair was scraped back. Like, whereas now, if you were to see someone that was my age then, 17, they wouldn't look like that. They would be making sure that their hair's on flake, their outfit is nice, which is good because it's not that I didn't take care of myself. I just wasn't really focused too much on, like, my clothes. I was just thinking, this is my audition and that's it. But I feel like now there's too much to take into account.
And also there's so much on social media. So, and you guys, I mean, they look up to you guys, and then they're like, okay, fine, I won't do that, I'll do this. So they can up their game, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everything is all learning and experience, isn't it? And taking something from someone and then making it your own.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And how was it like meeting Simon? Because he was your mentor.
Yeah. He's really nice. Like, he's actually a really nice guy.
And I had a little bit of a crush on him. You know, like him with his white t-shirt, with his white shirt.
You had a crush on him?
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't my kettle of fish, but I mean, to be fair, I think I remember a few people having a crush on him.
Yeah, but I think when you see him walking around with his white t-shirt and his like money and everything, you're like, oh.
Maybe it's just like, maybe it's just like his how he carries himself, maybe
and he's a bad boy and he says what he thinks. He's so confident. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is that attracts his girlfriend at the time. Her name was Terry. She actually does interviews and stuff. She was just so lovely. Literally, I was just in awe of her because she was just so lovely and down to earth. Yeah, and I remember like sitting on the plane when we were going to Miami, you know, for the final part of the auditions, and I was just speaking to her. It was just really nice.
Wow. So like, did that put pressure? I mean, Simon is like knows music, you know, and then now you have to audition and he's your mentor. How did that help, or did that just put too much pressure on you?
It put a bit of pressure on me, yeah, for sure. Because I remember thinking like, he obviously knows what he's talking about. Yeah. It doesn't always mean he's right. Let me get that correct, because not everyone can have an opinion. It doesn't mean, oh yeah, that's gold. They've just got an opinion. They have a very good insight as to certain parts of the music, but it doesn't mean they know everything. But I think at that time then you do kind of have that perception that he knows everything, and obviously now that I'm older it's not the case, but you do look at him as knowing everything and obviously having a very good position at the table in the music industry. So it definitely adds the pressure, for sure.
That's very important what you just said. That does not only mean like in music, in everything, especially people who are creative and doing arts. Just because someone says, no, this won't work, it doesn't mean, like even with film stuff and like with film ideas, I work on them a lot. Just because someone says no, it doesn't mean like you crap, you shouldn't try. They just don't see what you see, like your vision, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think that should be mentioned more, I think, because I feel like back then, if I probably got told no, I would have been like, oh, like it would have like really hurt. But whereas now, getting told no is not really, it's like, okay, that's just not for you. Like, for example, when I release my music, like when I've been releasing my music, I obviously have a lot of say of who the music's going to, like promoters and bloggers and things like that. So when they go, oh, it's not for me, it's like I don't get hurt by it or in my feelings because it's just not for them. That's all that means, because then I can have someone else like DM me and be like, I just want to let you know that your song is amazing and I love it. And it makes me feel like this and it helps me through that. And when you hear someone saying that, they've got their perception of the song and they've got their perception of the song. That's all it is. I don't like something that my friend might like, you know, it's same with music.
Well, that should be mentioned more.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I will tell you, I've been working on this idea because I'm South African. My kids are growing up here. So I'm Xhosa. That's my language. So I'm trying to teach them like my language over here. And it's very difficult because they can understand everything I say. It's strange. And then they reply in English. And I've been, yeah. Well, it helps if we're out and about and then they become naughty. I'm like, wait until we get home. I say in my language.
It's funny because a lot of people do that. My partner does that. Like his mum speaks Portuguese to him and he'll speak back in English. And I'm like,
this is strange. And my friends will be like, no, man, but you could be saying anything to these kids. I'm like, that's the idea. I don't want you guys to hear what I'm saying at this point. So yeah. So I've been working on this idea of like multiracial like kids, you know, like a multilingual kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, what could it be? Would these kids really like, do they understand me? I'm working on this documentary and I've been getting no's. I'm like, there's no way this is a bad idea. I mean, who wouldn't want to watch a documentary like this, you know? So I would watch it. Exactly. So just because someone says no, this should be like spoken about a lot. And Leona Lewis being up against her.
Yeah, like, do you know what? It's weird because I mean, whether people believe it or not, we were so close on the show.
Yeah.
Like, I think because we were so close, she had my back and I had her back. and our styles were so different. Like, like I would have, if you were to have put anyone in comparison, you would say she was like a Mariah Carey or something like that. Whereas if someone compared me, they would have said something else. They would have said someone else. So we were so different. Yeah, we were just really close. So it didn't feel like
a competition.
And honestly, it really didn't. I mean, the actual live show did not feel like a competition with any of the contestants because we like became so close. And when we used
each other.
Sorry?
I'm saying you only had each other there. You had to
exactly. Exactly. Like when we felt emotional and sad, they were there. Like we went through all them emotions together. The only time I felt sort of like, oh my God, intimidated was when I did the boot camp and I seen all the other singers. That's the only time I felt like, oh, look at all these talented people. But other than that, the actual live show and being against all the contestants, it didn't feel like a competition at all. Like me and Leona are still good friends now. Like
she's so lovely. I mean, even the way she speaks, she is like an angel.
Yeah, she is, and she's like that when you see her and you know her, so she's not different or anything.
Oh my! So like after leaving, I know you played as Cinderella.
Oh yeah, in the pavilion.
Yes. So how was that? So
it was really good.
That was like the opportunities that comes after and through the Xfactor, you'll say.
Oh yeah, that definitely came from the show. It was good actually, but I do remember thinking, funnily enough, because I'm obviously at that point I'm a bit older. I do remember thinking, right, a lot of people that are going to come and see this are going to think Cinderella's not Black.
Yeah.
I do remember thinking that at the very early stages and thinking, how are they going to take me playing this? And then after a while, I was like, right, you need to just shake that right off and just, you know, and it was, there was no issue behind it. It was just a passing thought in my head when I got the role. I was like, oh, yeah. And then I thought, wait, Cinderella.
You auditioned for it or did they just call you up? And
no, they called me up and asked if I would play it. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And I was really excited. And then that thought crossed my head. But then it was like a passing thought. And then I thought, no, it's not an issue. Like, come on. And there wasn't an issue.
It's so dope that like they did that even before the Black Lives Matter, like the whole thing, like for them to cast you as Cinderella at that time.
Oh yeah, of course, because that would have been 2007. So yeah, of course.
And so you came back to Glasgow for that?
No, so at that point I was still living in Glasgow.
Oh, okay.
I was living in Glasgow while I was, you know, during the Xfactor, but I lived in London during the show. But then when it finished and stuff, I then came back home. And then I moved to London in 2010. So I was back and forth, like shows and stuff from 2006. So in between 2006 and 2010, even though my base was Glasgow, I was still up, down, up and down.
But Glasgow is still claiming you. Are they rightfully so?
Claiming me? Yeah. No one claims me.
You're still from Nikitta from Glasgow.
I mean, of course, I mean, I understand why they're going to say that because obviously I was living there and based there. Yeah. And obviously, like, but do you know what? It's fine. They can claim me because, I mean, I lived half of my life there and I lived half of it in Manchester. So, because they were claiming me here as well. Like,
oh, while you were on the show.
Yeah, like my sister was like, you know, doing the interviews on the radio stations and stuff here, you know, when I was on the show. So there was like, I mean, it was, to be honest, it was actually really nice that I was getting the support from both sides, really. Do you know what I mean? No one's going to complain about that, really.
Yeah. You're like independent now. You make your own music and you sell it yourself.
I'm independent, make my own music and release it on my terms.
So how
And
is
to be
that
honest,
process?
oh, it's really, really hard. Like, but I love it because I have that the freedom of being in control of my own music and having the freedom of writing what I want and producing what I want and things like that. Because for me, and what people need to remember apart from Xfactor, is music is like it's something that I love. It's my therapy. It's I don't see it as a job. I see it as something that is just it's my passion. So even if you're not making money from it, I would still do it because I love it so much. And that is kind of how everyone's attitude, I think, should be with anything they put their heart into. Like, and then obviously if you reap the benefits later, then that's good. Then that's a bonus. But yeah, I enjoy having full control.
Is that what you
what I'm
advise, like musicians, like young people coming up? Because I mean, you know, like signing a record label or a record deal seemed like a huge thing. And then you hear 10 years later, people have been ripped off. I don't know how it works here, but like back home, like in South Africa, there's a whole lot of like musicians. So I didn't get this money, I didn't get it, I didn't have a lawyer. So would you advise that people should maybe consider going independent because everything is out there? You can sell your music basically yourself.
I mean, I don't want to use the word I would advise them to go independent because some people want to have a bit of representation. I think if you are going to look into a label or if you get approached, you make sure you have a really good lawyer and a really good support. So like if there's something you don't understand, someone can advise you because there will be things in contract. At the end of the day, if things are not in contract, you can dispute things. So when people say I got ripped off and this and that, it's like, well, something's been put in the contract that you've obviously missed in order to get ripped off, because if not, you can dispute it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you signed, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it just, obviously, it's a bit more hassle, but I mean, I just say each to their own. I don't really say to people, oh, go independent if you can. I mean, if you can and you want to, then that's great. You're going to have full reins and everything is yours. Do you know what I mean? But some people want to go with a label, and that's fine as well. Just make sure that you get a good lawyer and have people around you that you trust, and make sure everything is kosher.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen like the documentary about the Imbube song that is in the Lion King.
No.
It's crazy. It's about this guy. I think he worked as a cleaner or something in the distribution house back in South Africa. And he wrote the song, the Imbube song that's like all over, like the Lion King. And I mean, for years, this song has been like huge, like in America and the West. And this guy has not been getting a penny of it. And now it's like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like his family now trying to like to get the money, and they got help from this guy, but I mean, there's no way they can recover. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And he died. Now it's only like his daughters. It's heartbreaking when you read stuff like that.
Yeah. It is hard, and I think it's just making sure that these examples make you realize that you really do need to be quite vigilant with when you're looking at contracts and stuff, and don't just sign because it's Universal or anyone that's, do you know what I mean? Even your music, like even old school, send it back to yourself like in the post and date it. You know, that's an old school way of copywriting your stuff. You would put it in an envelope, date it, and then when they send it back to you, it's dated on the envelope. You never open it, so that if anything ever happened, if you were to ever go to the court or whatever, you would have your unopened envelope that would be dated. If they open it, they would hear inside it that it's your song before whoever stole it, if that makes sense. So there's lots of old school ways like that people do to copyright. So you've always got to make sure that you are protecting your music.
And just like before we finish, you know, like how it has been like being a mom?
Oh, I love it, literally. Like I was saying to my partner, like when I lived in London, it was just really lonely doing music. Whereas now I have a family and I'm still able to do music. So I would pick that world over being lonely and working my butt off doing music. So I like having a bit of a balance. And
so is it two boys you have, or is it boy and a girl?
A boy and a girl. So my boy, he's 5, he's going to be 6. And then I've got a little girl, she's 7 weeks.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, if you had like 2 boys, boys are just like running around. You know, girls are more calm. So
yeah, she's really, really cool. She's quite laid back. He's good. He is good. But
yeah, if you're gonna be raising a boy, you need to be like creative and you need to be out there.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to be kind of having the energy, constant, and let's do this.
Play for 2 hours in the park and then they come back home. They still want to jump over the sofa. You like,
yeah, or go swimming, and it's like they come back and they're still dancing and stuff. I'm just like, do you not get tired?
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nikitta.
No problem.
And where can people get your music?
If you go on Spotify, so if you just type in Nikitta Music, my music's on Spotify. Instagram, Nikitta Music. So it's all Nikitta Music, Nikitta, and then music, and you will find all my platforms by just typing in. Okay. Are you doing any live performances? Is there anything coming up? Not at the minute, but I will be looking into getting back into it. I'm just finding my feet. With a 7-week-old and my son, and once I kind of have a bit more of a routine, I can look for that. Okay, I'll let you go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of the day, and hopefully speak to you soon. I will. Thank you so much, Nikitta. I'll let you go. Bye. Bye.